Okay. So I actually ended up reading this really good Guardian article by Sirin Kale, which looks at her bizarre public image
Mhm.
as she's going against like the anti-PC brigade. She's saying all this like offensive stuff that apparently people just wish they could say anymore without getting called out for it, but I don't understand
Well,
that.
this is what I mean. Like, there's some people that she's really selling herself to, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
She's
do
saying
you
what I
see
want to
what people
say.
are saying? Like, why do you want to say that?
I don't
Why are
know.
you like gagging to be mean? Weird.
Yeah. Or is she actually a troll? So
She's a troll, I feel.
Kale writes, in an industry that celebrates a certain type of positivist girl squad femininity, Banks is not good. In inverted commas. Oh my god! It's done
Hello.
it again.
That's weird.
Maybe it's embedded somewhere and
You're
I
being
keep clicking.
hacked.
Oh, I have. I keep clicking on it by accident. Okay. Yeah.
Really?
In an industry that celebrates a certain type of positivist girl squad femininity, Banks is not good. Being a Banks fan involves a certain amount of cognitive dissonance because she embodies so many contradictory qualities at once. She is a pugnacious troll who once encouraged Iggy Azalea to kill herself, but
Oh
she
my
is
gosh.
also someone whose irrepressibility has paved the way in an industry for underground female rappers such as Cupcake and her former label mate Rico Nasty. And she is a victim too. Although she has spoken publicly about her struggles with mental illness, she doesn't get the same understanding someone like Kanye West receives, a double standard she acknowledged in a 2016 Broadway interview. So
Oh,
even before the kind of very public Kanye stuff, like in the last year,
yeah.
people are noticing that he has not been dropped by his labels the way that she has,
Yeah.
and that he has also said these things and had public struggles with mental health and said like he stood by Bill Crosby. He was a massive Trump supporter, said slavery was a choice. Like there's a list of things that he's done terribly, but he will not be dropped by his record label, whereas the industry dropped
Yeah.
her for everything she said.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. I mean, we do love to give Kanye our support a lot of the time. I know people are kind of stopping,
Mm.
but yeah, yeah, I think the argument is always, but he is struggling with his mental health. He has bipolar disorder, and
Yeah.
we like to give him a lot of support because it's not often that you do get male artists that are as open about their mental health,
No.
and it is quite like his struggles with it are quite public. There's
Yeah.
all that, but then I just don't understand. I think it's a really good point to say, but like Azealia Banks gets none of the same understanding. Now, it's different if what she's doing is fully just her trolling and doing it
Mm-hmm.
for publicity. But if this
Yeah.
is like a cry for help sort of thing, or if this is her acting out because of her mental health and we're not giving it the same understanding as we are a man, I think that's really unfair. And
Mm-hmm.
it's hard though because it's like, is she doing this because of for
Yeah.
publicity? And I don't know.
It's
It's hard,
intention. It's
but I think
hard.
it's a really good point.
Yeah. And it actually because I read these kind of after I'd found like all the stuff about the feuds, and I was thinking about them differently because I was like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, oh, is she an easier target because she keeps doing it, but it's like, is it a learned pattern? Is it how she knows to be a public figure? And also, they're saying that when she first emerged, everyone was talking about how talented she was. Kanye West said she was going to be the next big thing.
Oh God.
Everybody was saying like she has this incredible talent, she's incredible live, and yet she just can't help but spew this gross garbage at people.
Yeah.
And the internet and the publicity teams, and they're like, well, you're a black woman, so we're not gonna support you in the way that we've supported someone who's commercially successful as
Yeah, and
Kanye
I
West.
suppose like I can't think of any examples right now. Maybe Lana Del Rey is a good example. Lana Del Rey, like you've been saying, you feel silly for having given her support for
Yes.
so long because now we're learning more about the problematic things she said. But I still don't think she gets like. I'm not saying what she's done is as bad as what Azealia Banks has done, but I don't think she would get half the hate that Azealia Banks get if
No.
she was doing the same things, if she was making the same comments. I'm sure a lot of white singers don't get half the hate and don't get
No.
dropped and stuff like that for saying problematic things. I think they
Yeah.
get more praise, as like the bit of praise that Azealia Banks is getting for not being PC. I
Mm-hmm.
think like other people would get more for being white, but yeah, I
Yeah.
do think there is a massive like there is discrimination involved in what's happening.
100%.
100%. but it's a very like weird gray area of like, how do we like, we want to give her support, but then she's doing things that are so terrible and saying things that are so terrible and using slurs and horrible names, and I don't want to support that. So it's hard. It's
really hard, and but I think when she keeps, I think it's an interesting thing because I hadn't thought of it. I was just like, oh yeah, we'll go through like what has she been up to? Because every now and again she'd appear in like the zeitgeist. Like recently, she says like funny things, but they're not. They're always at the expense of someone else.